What's going on, NBA fanatics? This is your friendly neighborhood Memphis Grizzly homer, Memphis X, and I talk hoops. We are finally back. I have finally completed my classes. I have finally got my license. I am ready to go. Now, originally, I was going to wait until the Jaren Jackson Jr. extension or maybe the Ja Morant extension to start coming back, unless something else happened. And of course, something else happened. The Memphis Grizzlies traded starting shooting guard Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP, Cole Anthony, 4 unprotected first-round picks, and 1 first-round pick swap. Now, that was the tweet that Shams sent out yesterday. But yesterday was Father's Day, and I enjoyed my Father's Day. Now, Orlando is sending Memphis the number 16 pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, Phoenix's first-round pick in 2026, and that means they're going to get the worst of Phoenix and Washington's first-round pick in next year's draft. The Magic's 2028 unprotected first-rounder and Orlando's 2030 unprotected first-rounder. And they have a pick swap that is lightly protected in 2029. So as you can see on the screen, those are the particulars of the trade. And now we're going to talk about what this trade means to Memphis. Now, I haven't really been talking about the Grizzlies, and I'm going to tell you honestly, I probably could have made some videos here and now, but I've been a little frustrated with the direction of the organization. Basically, they never went all in. As you can see, this trade that the Orlando Magic are making right now, the Grizzlies never made this trade for Ja, Jaren, and Desmond Bane. They never quite made this trade. The closest they got to it was Marcus Smart, but he didn't really feel a need like Desmond Bane feels a need for the Orlando Magic. And that has been frustrating. I was also real frustrated that Zach Kleiman did not get fired. I was happy that Taylor Jenkins got fired because I think his time had come. But I was really frustrated that Zach Kleiman did not get fired. And the main reason why is because going into the trade deadline in 2025, the Memphis Grizzlies were second in the West. They were second in the West, and they had an opportunity. They did have an opportunity to get the guy the Lakers got in a trade. For all they had to do was, give up their 2025 first rounder. That's all that the Nets wanted. They could have got rid of Luke Kennard and just traded for a defensive small forward that could have helped them out in the playoffs. Now it turns out, that the Grizzlies, that Ja Morant got hurt in the playoffs, but that probably wouldn't have been a thing if they had made this trade. So you had Dorian Finney-Smith, that's his name, that was available, and the Grizzlies had a chance to get him. And this is when they still had Marcus Smart on the team. They had a chance to get Dorian Finney-Smith, and they chose to pass on it because they were balking over what picks to include. But, it's par for the course for Zach Kleiman because that's the reason why I'm kind of frustrated with him because he never has made the veteran trade move. Well, I can't say never because he did trade for Marcus Smart. But the trade that they needed to make, which is to bring in a shot-making wing, to help, to be the guy on the team that to run with Desmond Bane and Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson. Now, Jalen Wells kind of filled that spot, but Jalen Wells was a rookie. And they still needed another guy. Also, what frustrated me is there was no need to dump Marcus Smart. Now, I understand that everybody's going to say, well, they wanted to extend Jaren Jackson. But you guys got to remember that in February, Jaren Jackson was hot as a firecracker. Jaren Jackson looked like he was going to make second team All-NBA, not just All-NBA. And part of the reason why he didn't make All-NBA is because the team collapsed at the end of the year. Now, if they had ended up second in the West, I'm pretty sure Jaren Jackson would have made All-NBA. So there was a lot of frustration going around. So let's talk about what this trade means. What does this trade mean for the future of the Memphis Grizzlies? Now, it's hard to tell with Zach Kleiman what he's actually going to do, but this seems similar to all the trades he made ever since becoming the GM of the Grizzlies, especially those first 2 or 3 years, where he would get some draft picks, take on a bad contract from another team, and then, put out some young guys and some cheap guys on the court. So I'm going to talk about my suspicions on the team in the next video, but right now I'm not too sure if they're retooling around John Jaren, which would be fine, or if they're rebuilding, which would be preferred by me. And the reason why I say preferred by me is because of the health history of Ja Morant. I just don't think he can make it through a playoff run in the NBA. If you've seen the NBA playoffs over the last month or so, you've seen some of the most intense physical basketball that you ever see. It is way more physical than the regular season. And Ja had trouble playing 5 games in a row in the regular season. So, I know part of it was probably him pouting about the offense, but still, he still had trouble playing 5 games in a row. So, and he got hurt the 3rd game of the playoffs. He hasn't finished a playoff run yet. I mean, since what? Since we played Utah, he hadn't finished a playoff run. So that is concerning to be building around. Now, and then you're talking about these guys are up for big extensions. Jaren Jackson is probably looking to get over $50 million a year. Ja Morant close to, over $50 million a year. And we're talking about a group of guys, 2 guys that have been the best players on a team that has won 1 playoff series in 5 years. I like Jaren. I like Ja. I really like watching Ja play basketball. But the facts are the facts. They have won 1 playoff series in 5 seasons together. They're never healthy together. None of the 3 were healthy together ever. It just seemed like they were never healthy. I don't even think they played a season worth of games together, and they've been on the same team for 4 or 5 years. And they haven't played a season worth of games together in that time. So it just became a thing of health and performance. And then you have the erosion of the roster. You got 2 rookies starting last year. And then you already got Zach Edey's going to be out till probably December next year. So I'm thinking that my thinking is that since they didn't concentrate on getting players, like they could have got Goga Bitadze or young players that can play from Orlando instead of picks. But they chose to get picks, and they especially chose to get that Phoenix pick, that Phoenix-Washington swap for next year. And that tells me that even if they're not heading for a rebuild officially, like they're not going to trade Jaren and Ja or either one of them, that they are looking to – I think you're going to see some stealth tanking. That I've always thought that anyway. I thought the roster really wasn't that good. And when they traded Marcus Smart, they had kind of lost the assets that they needed to go further this offseason as far as going to the salary. let's just be honest. If you're not willing to go over the and pay the luxury tax, or at least get close to it, but more importantly, pay the luxury tax, it's going to be hard to compete in the West, especially when you got two guys that are going to be making $100 million, on your roster. So until I see Robert Parra put up some money and pay the luxury tax, I'm just going to consider this team cheap. And they're trying to do things cheap, and they're trying to fake it like they're trying to compete, which is, I think, what they've been doing the last couple of years, faking it. That's why nobody wants to come here and play. That's why Marcus Smart hated it here. They just want to fake it like they're competing. So I think we're going to see another tripling down, quadruple. Well, at least I think we doubled down 1 year on youth, and then we had 2 rookies starting last year, so that would be the tripling down on youth. So I think this year will be the quadrupling down on youth. You'll have a bunch of young guys in the rotation. Some of them will have experience because they were the young guys that played last year. I think they will try to see what they have in Gigi Jackson. I think they will try to see what they have in some of the other young players. But I think especially like guys like Gigi Jackson who didn't get a chance. They want to see what they have in Jalen Wells, Zach Edey, Scottie Pippen Jr., and I think they're going to try to see, I think you can expect Cam Spencer to be back. Probably, I don't know, Jay Huff. It depends on how they decide to clear out room to give Jaren Jackson an extension, if they give Jaren Jackson an extension. So my thoughts is they're going to fake like they're retooling, but they're really going to be rebuilding. I think their goal would be to get 2 high picks in the 2026 draft and get this thing started again, sort of like how they faked it with Mike and Mark, like they were trying to compete, and they ended up drafting Jaren, and then Ja, and then they had the foundation for another build, but they didn't put anything into it. So I think you're going to be right there. They're going to look like they're trying to do something. You might even have Ja and Jaren playing a lot, but I think at the end of the day, we're going to see them doing a lot of tanking towards the end of the year, trying to get up in what's going to be a nice draft at the top. All you have to do is get in the top 3 next year. And you got Boozer, Peterson, and DeBansa in the draft next year in the top 3. And I know it's luck, but all 3 of those guys are worthy of number 1 picks. So it's a lucky thing. And I guess, you even as a Grizzly fan, no matter how mad you get, you have to think at one point we got to get the number 1 pick. And hopefully it's not in the wrong draft. But yeah, the Desmond Bane trade, it's going to be, we had some good moments with Desmond Bane, real good moments with Desmond Bane. But, the thing was the Desmond Bane, Ja Morant backcourt was a little small. The defense was a little bad, as a combo. And it always led to some terrible defensive schemes. And then you had the thing about Bane. He has a tendency to get lost in rotation sometimes. But, he should be very good in Orlando's system. And I wish him nothing but the best because he was a great, great player, or great. I'm not going to say great player, like all-star, super duper star or something like that, but he was great in Memphis to me. He got everything, and I mean everything he could get out of his frame, his body, his skill level. He got everything out of it. As far as when I saw him in the pre-draft, and I was thinking about him. There is no way, and I was very high on Desmond Bane coming into the draft. There's no way you could have paid me to think that he would have gotten this good in the NBA. He's basically 25-5 on 50, 40, 90. It's crazy. 25-5, 50, 40, 90. And in the NBA today, that makes you barely a top 30 player because there's so much damn talent in this league. So we're going to see what the next step is. There's obviously going to be a next step if they plan on extending Jaren. They're going to have to clear out some more cap. They're going to have to clear out some more salary. And I expect the next move will probably be Cole Anthony getting traded for somebody who makes half as much or something like that. But we're going to see what they're going to do because Zach Kleiman has his work cut out for him if he plans to compete in the West, because the threshold for competing in the West is a lot higher. And if you couldn't do it with Desmond, Bane, Ja Morant, and Jaren Jackson, you're not going to do it with Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. It's not going to happen. So they have a lot of work to do if they want to compete, and they still have some work to do if they want to get a high lottery pick. So when they make their next move, I'll be here. Peace.